Olive was in a dark cave and could hear dripping water.
Hello?
Called Olive, and her voice echoed into the darkness.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
What a funny echo.
I'm not an echo, I'm a bat. And I'm a bat too.
Olive looked to either side and could make out two little bats next to her.
We are the bats in hats.
Oh, do you mind me asking why you're called bats in hats when you're not wearing any hats?
Well, it's because we hang upside down and our hats keep falling off.
Upside down?
Olive suddenly realised that up was down and down was up. And she was in fact hanging from the top of a cave.
Oh dear, ostriches can't hang upside down.
Olive fell and landed with a plop in a big pile of hats. She stood up and straightened her feathers.
Oh, look at all these hats. One of them must be able to stay on.
No, they just keep falling off, Olive.
Well, let's give it a try, shall we?
Olive started picking up hats and popping them on the bats' heads, one after another. But they just kept falling off. She tried on woolly hats, top hats, cowboy hats, all types of hats. But they all fell off.
We told you, Olive. These hats just won't stay on.
Olive looked at the big pile of hats that they had just tried on and noticed that a thread of wool on one of the bobble hats was loose.
Bats that need hats, a loose thread. I think I may have an idea.
Olive pulled on the thread and got herself two nice long pieces. Then she took two of her favourite hats, held them on the bats' heads and used the thread to make little chin straps to hold them in place.
Perfect. Now you bats are in hats.
What? Oh dear. Now we're wearing hats. They're too heavy, Olive. We can't hold on with our feet.
The bats tried and tried to cling onto the ceiling, but the hats were indeed just too heavy, and they fell down into the pile of hats.
Are you both okay?
Asked Olive.
Yes, we're fine. But we will never be proper bats in hats.
Olive looked around the cave again and noticed some spiky rocks poking up from the ground and the hats with threads hanging from them.
Don't panic. I'm having another idea.
Olive picked up the two hats and tied either end to a tall, pointy rock, so the hats were hanging in the middle.
Now, if you fly up and cling to the ceiling, the hat should sit on your heads.
We'll give it a go.
So the bats flew up, clung to the ceiling and kept trying to stretch down to put their heads into the hats. But they were just too far away. Eventually they gave up, flopping down, exhausted, into the hats.
Oh dear, nothing I've tried seems to have worked.
Actually, Olive, these hats are really comfy. Yes, so warm.
The hats strung between the rocks were so comfortable and the little bats were so worn out from all the excitement, they started drifting off to sleep.
Looks like you bats are finally in hats.
Thanks, Olive. We're going to have a nice long nap now.
Sweet dreams. Maybe from now on you should be called the bats in hats that take naps.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Greg, actually, I helped some bats with their hats.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.
Olive the ostrich!
Olive was standing next to a bubbling waterfall. She was wearing heavy chainmail and a knight's helmet.
Oh!
Just then, Olive heard a loud noise.
Oh, that sounds painful.
Out of nowhere leapt a huge dragon wearing an orange headband. He swished his enormous tail this way and that. It was all very impressive.
Welcome.
I'm Olive. Who are you?
I am Claude Van Doom, student of Dragon Fu.
What's dragon flu?
I will show you.
With this, Claude showed Olive some of his best dragon fu moves.
Very good flu, Claude.
I hope my examiner agrees. I am taking the final part of my Dragon Fu exam today. If I pass, my dream to become a Dragon Fu master will come true.
What do you have to do?
I will show you.
With this, Claude took a deep breath and blew as hard as he could towards a nearby tree. Flames shot from his mouth and set the tree on fire in an instant. Whoosh!
The exam subject is an impressive display of fire breathing.
I think you should put that fire out, Claude.
Olive saw the bubbling waterfall behind her.
Quick, Claude, use the water to put out the fire.
Claude plunged his head into the bubbling water, quickly gulping it down before blowing the lot onto the flaming tree.
Well done, Claude. You put the fire out.
But Claude didn't look very happy. Claude tried to breathe fire, but bubbles poured out from his mouth instead.
Oh, this is a disaster. How will I pass my exam in fire breathing if I am breathing bubbles?
Olive thought. She looked down at her chainmail and plucked one of the wires free.
A wire? Bubbles? I think I may have an idea.
Olive started to pull and twist the wires into different shapes, just as Claude's examiner arrived to start the test.
So, Mr. Van Doom, I hope you're ready to impress me with your fire breathing.
Claude looked at Olive and gulped.
Yes, he is, Mr. Examiner.
I'll be the judge of that, thank you.
The examiner watched as Claude took a deep breath and started to blow bubbles from his mouth instead of fire.
Oh dear.
Said the examiner, unimpressed.
Oh dear, oh dear.
But then the bubbles squeezed through the wire shapes Olive had made and formed a huge spider, a knight, even an elephant.
Well, I need something more impressive than that.
Claude took a deep breath and blew a massive bubble right at the examiner. It surrounded him, and before he knew it, he was floating up in the air inside the bubble.
Oh, I'm floating. Oh, Claude, your display of bubble breathing is more impressive than any fire breathing. Here's your certificate.
Oh, Claude, you passed.
Thank you, Olive, for all your help. With a little practice, you too could master Dragon Fall.
Really?
With this, Olive Dragon Fu chopped a tree, sending lots of fruit falling down on top of her.
Ouch! No, I think I'll stick to looking at trees, not dragon fooing them.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been blowing bubbles with a dragon.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was wearing a white shirt, a black suit jacket and a bow tie. She was in a huge kitchen. Chefs in tall white hats running around, one using a large metal spoon to ladle soup out of a huge steaming pot, and another icing a big cake with a piping bag.
Egg, this is a really busy place.
She could hear someone smashing plates, and she went off to see what was happening. She noticed a rosy-cheeked manager surrounded by broken plates.
Oh, hello.
Said Olive.
Ah, bonjour, mademoiselle.
Said the manager.
My name's not Mademoiselle, it's Olive. Pleased to meet you. Are you okay?
I'm Pierre Petitpois, and it is the opening night of my restaurant, Le Mange Tout.
Well, that's great.
Exclaimed Olive.
Oui, but the head waiter has not turned up, and the famous food critic, Monsieur Le Croc, is coming. How am I going to serve everyone their food on my own? C'est impossible.
Oh, dear. Well, I could help you, but you'll need to show me what to do.
Said Olive.
What a magnifique idea.
So Pierre showed Olive how to serve like a real waitress. She had to hold a tray with one hand, pour grape juice into a glass with another, meanwhile serving the finest sausage and mashed potato with 2 silver spoons.
Oh, heck. I'm not sure I'm very good at this.
Said Olive.
Oh, quel dommage. This will never work. We need to go faster.
Faster?
Thought Olive. Just then, Olive remembered all the equipment from the kitchen.
A silver ladle? A piping bag? I think I may have an idea.
Olive went to fetch the 2 items from the kitchen.
When it's time to serve the food, you hold up the customer's plates and I'll catapult the sausage and mashed potato onto them. Then I'll squirt the grape juice from the piping bag into the glasses. We should be able to serve them all in no time.
Olive, this idea is fantastic.
Very soon, the restaurant was full of hungry customers. So Olive and Pierre got to work, catapulting, catching, aiming and squirting. The food critic, Monsieur Le Croc, had arrived and was sitting, waiting for his dinner. It was all going so well until Olive began to serve the food a little too fast and Pierre couldn't keep up.
Olive, you must slow down,
Warned Pierre.
or something bad is going to...
But before he could finish, Olive catapulted the mashed potato into the food critic Monsieur Le Croc's face and the sausage into his mouth. The whole restaurant fell silent.
Monsieur Le Croc, I'm ever so sorry. Are you okay?
Monsieur Le Croc didn't move for a second. Then he took a big bite of his sausage and licked his lips.
Magnifique. I have never seen service like it. I award Le Mange Tout the highest honor, la golden fork.
Pierre could
la, la,
not
la, la.
believe it.
Oh, mademoiselle, you saved the day.
All in a day's work, Pierre. But my name's Olive.
They both laughed. And as they did, Olive realized it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Bagek? Actually, I've been a waitress in the finest French restaurant.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a little village. The buildings were made entirely out of logs, and they nestled between tall green trees and snow-topped mountains. She was wearing a lovely woolly scarf.
Bagek, what a beautiful place.
Just then, Olive heard a strange gurgling sound coming from behind one of the log cabins. So she went to investigate. She found a little girl sobbing into her hanky in a most peculiar way. Olive had never heard anything like it.
My name's Olive. Are you okay?
Oh, I didn't see you there. My name's Heidi Hi. My family own the holiday camp here, and today we're holding our famous Swiss family yodeling concert to mark the first day of the ski season.
Oh, Bagek, how exciting.
Oh, you little don't understand. There isn't any snow. Tradition says if we don't have any snow on the first day of the ski season, we won't have any snow at all, and no skiers will come to visit.
In the distance, Olive could see the beautiful snow-capped mountains, but in the village there was only the tiniest dusting of snow on the rooftops. She was about to start thinking of a way to help when she heard an announcement boom out over the loudspeakers.
Heidi hi, time for our last yodeling rehearsal.
That's my mum. I'd better go and practice.
Olive followed Heidi back to her family to find out what yodeling was. Then the hills erupted with sound as Heidi's family all burst into a strange song. Olive stood and listened. It was then she noticed that the dusting of snow on the rooftops had begun to quiver and shake. As Heidi and her mother hit a high note, the snow rolled off the roof and landed on the ground. Olive grinned.
Yodelers? Loudspeakers and a snow-capped mountain? I think I may have an idea. Heidi, help me collect all the loudspeakers. We're going to create a super speaker.
Olive placed them in a long line, pointing towards the snowiest peak.
Now all you need to do is yodel into here, and I'm sure your voices will shake the snow down from the mountains in no time.
Yodeloo, do you really think that'll work?
Asked Heidi.
There's only one way to find out.
And with that, they burst into song. In the distance, the snow on the mountain tops began to quiver. It looked like it was dancing as it gently started to roll down the slopes towards the village. But even though they yodeled with all their might, the snow stopped short.
Yodeloo will have to join in, Olive. We're just not loud enough.
Said Olive as she cleared her throat and prepared to sing. The They yodeled and the gathering crowds watched with delight as the snow tripped and danced its way gently into the village, covering the entire place with a thick blanket of snow.
Oh, Olive, there's enough snow here to ski and sledge and build snowmen until springtime. Thank you.
Dick, it was no problem.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been yodeling in the Swiss Alps.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a long, thin room with lots of windows and seats down either side. She was wearing a rather smart blue dress and hat. There was a lady dressed the same as Olive standing between the rows of seats.
Hello, I'm Olive.
Hello, I'm Daisy. You must be the new flight attendant.
Flight 321 to Paradise Island. Passengers should board in 3, 2, 1.
A tannoy announced. Olive had to jump out of the way as a stampede of passengers rushed to their seats.
Hey, watch out!
The plane took off straight away.
Being a flight attendant is easy.
Said Daisy.
All you have to do is make sure the passengers are happy and they get their dinner on time.
Oh, that does sound pretty easy.
Said Olive. Daisy unbuckled her belt and reached under the seat, pulling out a box of eye masks, which she dumped in Olive's wings.
Right, first task is to pass around these eye masks.
Olive gave an eye mask to each passenger.
Good job, Olive.
Said Daisy. It was almost time for dinner. The smell of the food was wafting out of the kitchen, making the passengers hungry.
Is dinner ready? I'm hungry.
Called a man.
My tummy's rumbling really badly.
Whined a little girl.
What happens if the passengers don't get the dinner?
Asked Olive. Daisy frowned.
They get unhappy, and we don't want unhappy passengers. Right, Olive. Dinner trolleys are ready to go. We just have to push them down the aisle so we can give the passengers their dinner trays.
Olive jumped behind the trolley and pushed hard. The trolley jerked forward for a moment, but then it stopped.
It looks like I'm stuck.
Cried Olive.
The wheels must have jammed. Oh, how are we going to get the dinners to the passengers now?
We're getting very unhappy. Yes, very unhappy.
Shouted the passengers.
Olive, what are we going to do?
Olive scratched her beak and looked around. At her feet was one of the eye masks. She picked it up and looked down the aisle, where she spotted coat hooks above every single seat.
A line of coat hooks, eye masks. I think I may have an idea.
Olive tied together lots and lots of eye masks. She then looped them over the coat hooks and got the passengers to do the same all the way down the plane.
Right, Daisy. We need to tie the dinner trays to the eye masks.
Olive tugged on the eye masks and the dinner trays started travelling along the plane down to the passengers. Then the trays dropped in front of each passenger one by one. The whole plane load of people cheered before they tucked into their dinners.
Good job, Olive.
Said Daisy.
The passengers would have been lost without you.
I don't know about lost, but they certainly would have been hungry.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been an air hostess in an aeroplane.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive found herself outside a trendy city coffee shop with a lively disco right next door. There were stylish and fashionable animals everywhere she looked,
Cake, what a cool street.
said Olive, who was wearing a colourful apron with steaming frothy coffees printed all over it. She was admiring the two huge model coffee beans on either side of the shop entrance when suddenly an anteater burst through the doors and out onto the street.
Mama Mocha, I don't believe it.
I'm Olive. Is everything okay?
No, it's not okay. I am Signora Don Mochaccino, the best coffee connoisseur in all of London town. My guests will be here any moment for my coffee shop's grand relaunch, and everything is going wrong.
What's the problem, Signore Don?
Not again.
But Cake, who are they?
They are a group of naughty espresso mucho jumbo coffee beans. Olive, I need help to catch those crazy coffee beans before they destroy my new shop.
Olive and Don rushed into the shop to try and catch the jumping beans.
Come here.
But they didn't have much luck. The beans were always one jump ahead, knocking over racks of coffee jars, rows of cups, bags of sugar, everything.
Phew! These beans are seriously jumping!
With all the commotion, Olive tripped and tumbled into Don, sending both of them somersaulting out of the front door and crashing into the two huge model coffee beans.
Get me out of here.
Oh, how are we ever going to catch these coffee beans?
Olive noticed that the beans were copying Don as he hopped around trying to free himself. Then she spotted the dancers leaping around to the music in the next door disco.
Jumping coffee beans? A disco? I think I may have an idea.
Olive popped the remaining big model coffee bean over her and started to jump around with Don.
Keep jumping down and follow me into the disco!
Okay, Olive.
Don followed Olive, jumping along into the disco, and the coffee beans followed them too, in a coffee conga line. Soon all the coffee beans were jumping around happily and safely inside the disco. Finally, back in the coffee shop, the chaos was over.
Perfecto. I will make you a cup of a very special coffee to say thank you for getting rid of those mucho jumbo coffee beans.
Oh, well, I'm not sure if I really like coffee.
But you have not tasted my coffee. Un momento.
Don expertly operated the various grinding, steaming, squirting and mixing devices on his coffee machine to create the perfect cup of coffee for Olive to drink.
I am calling this new coffee my Olivo Cappuccino. It will be the latest coffee sensation.
Actually, this Olivo Cappuccino does taste perfecto.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I helped inspire a perfecto cappuccino.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was in a beautiful garden on a hot summer's day. There were brightly coloured flowers everywhere and there wasn't a cloud in the sky.
What a lovely place to be.
Suddenly, a little old lady in a large sun hat hurried past, muttering and groaning as she walked.
Oh, hello, I'm Olive. Are you okay?
I'm just so tired.
Said the lady.
My name's Mary. I've been working in my garden all morning. It's hard work keeping a garden in such fine shape, you know.
And what a fine garden it is. But don't you want to just relax and enjoy the sunshine, Mary?
Of course, but the hot sun has dried out the ground, so the flowers have no water to drink. That's why they're wilting and drooping.
Oh, I see.
I've been trying to water them all day, but my watering can has this hole in the bottom, and the tap is at the other end of the garden. By the time I reach the flowers, all the water has leaked out. Look! Apart from doing a rain dance, I'm not sure what to do.
A rain dance? What's that?
It's a special dance you do that's supposed to make it rain.
Oh, I'm an excellent dancer. Let's give this rain dance a try.
Okay, it's worth a go.
So Olive and Mary danced around the garden trying to make it rain. They danced and danced in the hot sun until they were so tired that they couldn't dance anymore.
I'm not sure we're doing this quite right.
Panted Olive.
No, and now it's not only the flowers that are thirsty, but that I can fix.
Said Mary as she went off to get them both a drink. She soon returned carrying 2 large glasses of lemonade, each with a straw in it. Olive was so thirsty she drank it all down in one go.
Delicious.
Exclaimed Olive, feeling immediately refreshed.
If only it were this easy to help my thirsty flowers. How are we going to get the water to them?
Olive noticed the straws in their drinks.
Straws? Thirsty flowers? I think I may have an idea. Do you have any more straws, Mary?
Oh, yes, I have a whole box.
Olive took lots of straws and fixed them all together to make some really long straws that reached the whole length of the garden. She stuck one end of the straws into the ground at the base of each flower and the other end of all the straws into the tap. It was a pretty tight fit.
See? We've given all the flowers a straw so they can drink the water straight from the tap.
Oh, wonderful idea, Olive.
Mary turned on the tap. The water started to flow along the straws.
It's working!
Cried Olive. Mary turned on the tap some more, but the extra water pushed the straws out of the tap. They flew everywhere and squirted water all over Olive and Mary.
Oh, what are we going to do now?
Just then, Olive felt a drop of water land on her beak, and then another.
It's raining!
As it rained, one by one, the wilting flowers started to stand up tall.
Oh, my little beauties look so much happier now.
Perhaps our rain dance worked after all.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been doing a thirsty flower rain dance.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.